little something was shot to me a while back and never got, kind of a few weeks ago, and kind of sitting on it for time like today when I need something to talk about. From Screen Rant back on the 19th of July here. 10 Unsolved Mysteries from Star Trek Canon. Well, we'll see about that. And they showed the big cylinder thing they used in Metamorphosis. That's the first time they actually explicitly cited a universal translator. Which kind of implied that every other time they just, everyone spoke English. Or they, whatever. Again, it's 60s television. And Discovery is a prime example why you don't want to just deal with, like, say, have the alien, races speaking their alien language and having to read subtitles all the time. That's why you dispense with that as quickly as possible, if you're going to use it at all. So, basically, you can't really look at it too hard because the universal translator, it's a plot device. It's to speed things along so you're not mucked down here because you only got modern television got 40 minutes to tell your story with commercial breaks. So, don't bother. What we got here? That's something else. So yeah, and Metamorphosis, it was a plot device in order so they could talk to the cloud. And other times it comes up where you occasionally have to give lip service to it. Like, how can I understand what you're saying? Oh, it's our universal translator built into our communicator. Doesn't explain why the lips match up to the stuff, but again, you can't look at it too hard. Okay, it's a plot device. All right, the jettison pod button on the armchair, the alert buttons on the jettison pod. Well, yeah, not a great thing, but you need it in camera. So that's the only reason that's there. But it does make sense that it would be, that this would be at the captain's discretion to punch the thing out. So, and it's pretty clearly labeled, What I got an issue with is where the semi-official, where they imply that the pod is. I don't like that spot back by the hangar bay, And no, I got an idea for where it. I got to think the pod is actually kind of an detachable, kind of big, gigantic dryer hose type thing. With the idea being that okay, you get at your there, and once you get your readings, and it's time to get there because it's whaling free out there, and going through an ion storm, it can very easily be whacked around and bash into the hull and damage the ship. Little bulb in the back, not going to cause any problems. So I figured this thing, the plan was, Finney gets his readings. The thing is largely disposable because it's just, a sensor pod. And you kind of slide down the hatch, they cut it loose, and, the guy's inside. And I figured that makes a lot more sense. I have them right behind the BC deck thing. I have a little hat now. It's in my, I'm up with a link there, but in fact, I think I might dig up a picture, give you an idea what I'm looking at. All right. But that's what I bet probably that, not where the button is on there. Okay. No, it's not a Vulcan thing. But who's playing the bagpipes? Scotty. It's a Scottish thing, okay? And it's also a servicing because Harv Bennett was at a funeral for a cop, and he had the single piper playing Amazing Grace. And it is very haunting, because it's often used at funerals for, So, yeah, it's perfectly acceptable here. There's nothing wrong with it. I just got a problem with, Horner didn't get it, and he didn't know where the stick. They should have stuck with the bagpipes outside the ship. A little more reverb. Wesley's bizarre adventure when he goes off with the Traveler. That's not really an unsolved mystery. He went off and did weird things with the Traveler. And apparently eventually he got bored and came back to Starfleet because he's right there at Deanna and Riker's funeral. Wedding. Freudian slip. All right. All right, I think this one is addressed one point, and the really big implication is in All Good Things, and he's got all those cats around him. What do you think those cats are named? Spot. it's kind of clear. Data had more than one cat, and every cat he got, he named Spot. What happened to the previous cats? Let's not speculate. Okay, let's just assume he gave them away to other families on the onboard ship. Okay. Yes, there's a thing where they're trying to do sort of an environmental storyline thing about, making the allegory that, warp speed was damaging subspace. And so they had everyone held back to an arbitrary speed limit of like warp 6. And then they realized almost immediately they just cut their own knees off for any future stories. So they're always having to write in that they've been allowed to exceed the warp speed limit, and then there's a script. In universe, let's just figure that engine design has advanced to where it's no longer damaging the environment. Again, not really an unsolved mystery so much. It's like it's possible story fodder. They could do an interesting thing with that, but also you want to get really weird. In Shatner's novel, The Return, they bring in the Borg, but they also make a point of it's sort of one faction of the Borg. There's all different types of Borg. There's not just one type, and they figured the type. It was an offhand comment from Gene Roddenberry when the first Borg story that this could have been what happened to V'ger. He went to that wormhole and wound up at the Borg homeworld, and but that was living machines. That wasn't no organic indication there. So we could have various versions of the Borg. Some of them are completely cybernetic, with maybe just a brain somewhere in the middle. But yeah, that's this could be I wouldn't trust the current crop to do it because what a hash they made of Control. No. I think they were really trying to imply that this is where the Borg started, and that hopefully somebody said, "That's not going over well. We better back off of that." I'm pretty sure this was at least given lip service in The Descent. That storyline. Because, we never see them again. Well, because they go back to their lives. However, that is one thing that they will be addressing in Picard, because they're bringing back Hugh. And apparently the storyline is such that, these former Borg play a part in trying to rescue the population of the survivors in Romulus. And they use Borg technology, and that's kind of leaves people a little. It kind of works, but it's also rather traumatic to all concerned. So that's how that goes on. We'll figure that out. Because Star Trek Discovery is produced by morons. And this all ties into, a lot of ties into the licensing thing. And they got to be a certain different, or they can't monetize it for licensing to get their sales. And if you notice lately, Midnight's Edge, they've kind of backed off with the conspiratorial thing of bad robots behind everything. They do seem to be behind everything going. Every new person in charge of a studio or thing seems to be connected to J.J. Abrams somehow. They worked a bad robot somehow, so that's not entirely dead. But the 25% difference here. And again, look at the last. I don't know what happened there, but watch the last video from Midnight's Edge going to the Star Wars thing, and they put it there clear as day that drawn from Doug Drexler, where he cites the 25% difference, that mandate. It is a licensing thing, and it's most likely an internal thing, where their lawyers, the legal department is drawn up that in order to monetize it for their own needs, it needs to be a certain percentage different, and the figure they've settled is 25%. I think legally it doesn't be 10% different. But they're a little cushion there, make it 25% different, and they can merchandise it, and they get the money and not CBS, or at least not all of it. And this is what they're doing with the Klingons. They turn them into slee stack, beady-eyed slee stack is what it amounts to, and kind of pseudo-Egyptian type clothing type. Very little resemblance to actual Klingons. And by that rationale, they figured they can, they can monetize it, and Paramount will try and restore the revenue stream, and won't be all going to CBS. Unfortunately, what they put together went over like a lead balloon. Nobody wants it, so they're still not getting the money. And this is one of the things that hopefully that will be resolved when the remerger is happening. It is in progress right now. We keep hearing stuff about, they got a prospective plan out. They're going to, be remerging. And it will no longer be a matter of, well, they've got these rights, and it'll all be back under one roof. And they won't need to do these idiotic changes and all these, nonsensical technology, variations. They can get back to one cohesive canon line. And again, my ultimate little dream here is that the Tarantino movie will be the key to it. And I hope somebody at Paramount is also seeing this. That this is their way of reunifying the multiverse type thing. Is once they get it back under one roof, and they no longer have to divvy up all the rights, it'll be back under Paramount. With CBS, will have, they'll have certain broadcast rights to televised stuff, but the overall holder will go back to Paramount, where they actually have some institutional memory of making these things. Because remember, CBS, their only experience with Star Trek prior to this whole thing was that they rejected it back in '64. That was it. And they were competing against it when they produced Lost in Space. Other than that, the only experience they had with Star Trek, after that, is just raking in money and approving, licensing deals. And on that respect, I think they did a decent job. Okay, there are a few weirdo things on there, but for the most part, the fact that, because Roddenberry was never he didn't have good instincts for merchandising Star Trek. There should have been accurate phaser toys in the store in the 60s. Instead, we got those stupid little Remco disc shooters. Well, the disc shooters are fun, but they bear no resemblance whatsoever to a phaser, I've gone through a few of those. I think I still got some buried and stored somewhere. I'd like to have gotten the rifle. But yeah, I just watched that, the toys that made us, I think, and you get that first episode about Star Trek, and go through a horror show that was Star Trek merchandising for the first 20-some years. But that is one thing I think, Viacom did start, because it was still under Viacom and before the merger with CBS. And it was actually after Roddenberry died, because that's when they finally started getting somewhat accurate phasers and toys out in the store. And they actually, that's when we really started getting some decent stuff. Was really after Roddenberry died, and they could finally, okay, now we can do some proper merchandise and prove some stuff, because he was nixing a lot of stuff. The phaser rifle back in the day. I'll post a design here, what I had in mind. But I've been told by both Mike Okuda and Beato Trimble that this design here, this is what Jeffries would have come up with. But it's cheap. It's right there, what they already got. It's a couple of, just fashion a couple of extra, phaser handles into a rifle stock, put a barrel extender on there. It could be just a cardboard tube and another thing. Bingo. You're done. And you get a nice little, toy in the stores for Christmas. Basically, it would have been Star Trek's version of the Uncle rifle. In fact, the extended phaser, because on the phaser handle, there's a little turn socket on the bottom. That's where it fits into the body. But there's a similar thing on the bottom of the handle. What I think the definite implied is you can click on another power pack for added thing. And so everything's modular. Jeffries is a lot about modular design and the ship and also the props. And so, you can, click a couple on there and get that extended handle there, get a couple on the back end for there, and there's your added power. Although in recent years, I figured that would be more really of a kind of build it in the field type of thing. A proper phaser rifle design from the ground up would have a different design type thing. And that I think could go for some of the other designs I've seen in fan films. I'm not sure I like them, but, they're there. But, there we go. It's, like Yogurt says, merchandising, where the real money is made. And don't think for a minute that Lucas has not forgotten that message, because he started it. He invented the thing practically, because before him, movie merchandising was sort of, nobody cared. And that's, as part of his big deal. He asked Fox, 20th Century Fox, to have the merchandising rights. Studio didn't care. Yeah, take him. We don't care. And now he's a billionaire. He was a billionaire before Disney bought him out. Now he's an even bigger billionaire. You think he didn't keep on to at least a big chunk of that merchandising rights? He may be a so-so director, but he is a canny businessman. Okay. So, here we go. Hear what you got to say down below. It is, you want to send me stuff here? People like to do that apparently. So, post office box, we at 4046 North Goldenrod Road, number 115. I say 115 because 115 can be easily mistaken for 150. So 115, Winter Park, Florida 32792. Support links and everything else, PayPal, Patreon down below, and we will talk at you later. I'll get this thing on as soon as I can. And also, I'm gonna have to say goodbye to those two, video attempts for the caution, because Warner Music are bastards. Okay, they will clown any bit of their song on there. Is so forget it. It ain't worth it. They're not getting no traction anyway. So might do another video just for the Whopper. Who knows? Anyway, talk at you later.